All right, Bill O'Reilly is here from BillO'Reilly.com. Welcome, Bill.
Very warm welcome, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
So,
my day is off to a great start.
Boy, it is.
Good.
I tell you, we were relieved. Bill, I'm so excited to hear your take on all of the things that have happened, because this has been a big week. But let's start with the latest breaking news of Roger Stone. Can you fill me in on what's happening with Roger Stone?
Maybe. But
Okay.
first, I'm just going to concentrate on the fusion of entertainment and enlightenment. So I'm going to go into the enlightenment area now.
All right, okay.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
So I don't know anything about Roger Stone. Never met him, never talked to him. Looks like kind of a crazy guy to me.
Yeah.
He's got a big tattoo all over his back.
Of
He's
Nixon.
7 years old. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
There should be a limit, by the way, in tattoo parlors. If you're over 28, you can't get one.
Constitutional amendment bill? Is that how you go about that?
I was really hoping for I was hoping for a little more enlightenment.
Yeah, I'm going to give you something in enlightenment area.
All right,
now.
okay.
Okay, so Mueller, when he started investigating this Russian collusion allegation, he basically have a chart, and I know this to be true, and there's names on the chart. It's a flow chart that says Trump campaign, and there's maybe 30 names, maybe 40 on the chart. And he looked into all of them. He looked into all of these people that were working directly with Donald Trump in some capacity. So that's where you start. So Roger Stone was a gadfly, somebody who was around Trump, wanted to curry favor with Trump, advised him on certain things. No, he knew Trump for a long time.
And he is the Nixon original dirty trickster. I mean,
yeah,
this is a guy who has a really bad past.
A political consultant.
Right.
And there's tons of these people. And then they're hired by groups or PACs or whatever, and they go get this one, find dirt on that one, do whatever you want. But in the initial thrust of the Trump campaign, everybody wanted to curry favor with Donald Trump. Everybody in his organization who wanted to work for him, get on the campaign, they all wanted his attention. That's very important for everybody to understand. Everybody wanted Trump's attention. Not easy to get because his attention span is about 20 seconds. You got to bring something pretty big to get Donald Trump's attention. So Stone had some kind of relationship with the WikiLeaks crew. Remember WikiLeaks?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so the WikiLeaks people hacked in and found out bad stuff about Hillary Clinton and her campaign. Stone was the middleman there, talking to WikiLeaks, and they give him gossip. And then he'd run back to the Trump campaign and tell them the gossip. Oh, this is what WikiLeaks hacked in. This is what they're going to have. This is what we're going to see. That's what Stone did. That's who he is. All right? He's the middleman gossip guy. So when the investigation came, when Mueller launched, they brought Stone in and said, were you the middleman gossip guy? Stone goes, no. That's why he's indicted.
So let me go here and let me change it slightly onto the media. Now, the media happened to be there at Roger Stone's house.
Yeah, it was a coincidence.
It was. It was good. I love this.
Walking down the street in Florida, and the FBI goes, "Hey, we're gonna arrest Roger Stone. Come on." Yeah.
The CNN anchor actually said, "Good job following your gut and being there on this one." Following their gut, they happened to be there with a camera crew.
It was the same thing like Flake in the elevator at the Senate when the CNN crew was right behind the fanatical far left person who was yelling at Flake. She just happened to be there. So
Okay.
Mueller, somebody in Mueller's crew, probably in the FBI. It is speculation. This isn't enlightenment now. Now I'm into speculation.
Now let me go to
the FBI. Gave somebody a call and said they're going to be here, so show up.
Let me go now to the hat and the smirk.
All right, so now we're going over to the Kentucky kids. We're finished with Roger Stone.
Yes.
Is that okay, Bill? Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
No.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. What do you want me to? What question do you want on the Kentucky kids? You want me to advance the story a little bit?
No. Here's the thing. First of all, is this a story that is beyond the hat? If that kid wasn't wearing the hat, would we even know this story?
No. No. It's all about Trump. Everything's about Trump. Everything. All right. So the kid and his friends are at the pro-life rally because a lot of Catholic school kids go every year, all right? So it was a mistake for the kid to wear the hat, by the way. If I had been as you guys know, I'm a former high school teacher. If I had been the advisor on that trip, I would have said no political paraphernalia because we're here for a moral reason, and we want everyone of every party.
Don't know if he wore it to the march. It looked like a new hat. And you're coming home with a souvenir. I don't know if he brought the hat or just got the hat.
I would have worn it in the context of being at the pro-life demonstration. If I were the advisor, I would have advised against that.
But he was now getting ready to get on the bus. So yes. Do you have a right to wear a hat and not be accused of crimes?
There's a constitutional right to wear it, although the advisor, being the school attached to the school, could have said don't wear it, and the kid could not have overridden that. But as an American citizen, he has a right to write whatever he wants. I'm talking about what's appropriate, all right, and why I would have, as an advisor, said no political stuff. We're just here as Catholics, and we're here as Christians in a right-to-life context. We're not doing politics today.
All right.
So the question, though, is would the press have latched on this and viciously attacked these kids had they worn a Joe Biden for president hat? And the answer is absolutely not.
Bill, if you have, and I've been trying to find an example of this, and we saw a bit of it.
I think you have a pretty good perspective on it, but let's just advance it a little bit further.
Okay.
And because everybody knows what happened, you can make up your own mind as a listener. I mean, we saw the video. We know that the kids were not at fault. We know the media viciously attacked the kids. And the media we're sorry, but they're not really sorry.
No, they're not at all.
No,
the NBC interviews show they don't care at all.
They're not sorry. I mean, it's like Savannah Guthrie, who's not, she's not a political fanatic. She takes orders. All right? And her orders were don't be mean, but be skeptical. Okay. So,
and don't be skeptical with Nathan Phillips.
The story for the media. And if you read my column, brand new column on BillO'Reilly.com, the story that the media now is advancing is that, maybe this wasn't the kid's fault, but anyone who wears a Trump hat is triggering. There you go. There's the word. Triggering bad feeling in America. So if you have a Trump hat or socks or a bumper sticker, you are a trigger for negativity in America. That is the story. And the media is basically trying to set up a scenario where if you don't vote for the Democrat for president, no matter who it is, you're an evil, bad person.
Well, if you're wearing a Trump hat, you're wearing a Trump T-shirt, you've got a Trump 2020 sticker on your car, you are a bad person.
You're evil.
So what they're doing is if you have a Trump 2020 sign in your front yard, you can be attacked because you're obviously a bad person who's just trying to trigger people in the neighborhood.
That's right. And these kids, we weren't fair. We, the media, weren't fair, but they deserved what they got because they had the hat on. So if everybody understands that, if all American voters understand the hatred that is going to be the theme of the next presidential race, it's all about hate, not about the economy anymore, not about China, not about Putin. It's about hate.
All right, I'm going to pick it up with Bill O'Reilly where we left off here and also take it to New York abortion and the school shooting that happened someplace. School shooting this last week didn't get any coverage whatsoever. I'll pass that by Bill O'Reilly as well, coming up in just a second. Bill O'Reilly, let's continue down this road just a little bit.
All right.
We filed for a Freedom of Information Act on Nathan Phillips and his war record. Do you know what he did?
Well, he's a Marine, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, he was in the Marines. But he was an infantryman for 2 days, and then they transferred him, and he became a refrigerator repairman. He was
in the Marines.
In the Marines, he spent his time as a refrigerator mechanic. So,
wow.
Yeah, and then he went AWOL twice. His records show that his trial records were not included with our Freedom of Information Act request. So I think we have to request for those as well. I'm not sure if we can get those. But he went AWOL 2 times. He was...
Maybe he had frostbite.
Well, I'm not sure. It is cold in the refrigerator, especially if you're in Nebraska during the years after the Vietnam War.
They responded to you pretty quickly with that FOIA question. You got that stuff fast.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked. I didn't expect it. Came in yesterday.
They're terrified of you.
Sure they are.
Look, I don't know who this guy is with the drum. I don't care who he is. Doesn't matter to me who he is. He's out there. He's at a pro-life demonstration with a drum banging it. Okay, I mean, it's not the kind of guy you want to have dinner with.
Yeah, no, he was actually at a Native Americans No Border rally.
And then he segued over to the pro-life rally.
Yeah, then he just walked over to the boys who were getting onto a bus after the pro-life rally. I mean, the guy is an anti-border guy, which is why he went to the kid with the red hat. He was trying to prove a point: no borders.
Okay, so, there are nuts everywhere, and when I see the press, basically, I think it was the Washington Post, say that it was a Vietnam vet, my first feeling was, I don't believe the Washington Post. Not because the guy couldn't have been a Vietnam vet. It certainly could have. He was at that age. But it's the Washington Post. They don't check anything. Mm-hmm. They're not going to check anything. It's going to, they had a vet, bang. That puts the narrative, he's in a higher plane, so we use it. And then it went, well, we're sorry. Well, how many times are you going to be sorry over there? You got that little Pinocchio thing that you do on everybody else. Why don't you do it on yourself? How many retractions are we going to get from the far left press?
So
every single day we get them now.
But here's what concerns me: you had NBC, Washington Post, CBS. You had all of the usual suspects, and
absolutely.
At first they reported it. Okay, mistake. Then new information comes out. And they say, oops, sorry. But they don't retract all of it. They just say, hey, there's new facts emerge. Well, that's not an apology. New facts emerge. Then they stick with this. They stick with the story. And it is a provable fact with videotape. And here's what I want to ask you, Bill. The press has crossed the Rubicon. They have crossed a line now from where you could say, well, I don't know. You could look at it that way. You could, if I'm going to be really, really generous, you could give them the benefit of the doubt. There is no other story other than they knowingly are lying. If this is what they're doing today with videotape, what are they not willing to do?
Number one, Julius Caesar would have executed everybody in the press by this point. So if we were in the Rubicon, that would have, they would have all been dead. Number two, this is actually a good thing for honest Americans. So this whole thing is good for the country, this Covington High School snafu. Because now even the dimmest of us cannot defend the national media any longer. You cannot walk out of your house and go, oh, they're fair. Oh, I believe the New York Times or Washington Post. They're fair. They're giving me the news that I need to make a responsible decision. You can't do that. Nobody can do that. You'll be laughed at. Even the far left kooks will laugh at you. Oh, come on. You know they're in our pocket. We have them. So this brought it over. BuzzFeed just set this up. All right, BuzzFeed set it up because people paid attention to the kids. Nobody pays attention to BuzzFeed. And by the way, Beck and Stu, did you know that NBC invested $200 million into BuzzFeed?
Mm.
Did you know that?
Wow. No, I did not know that.
They're the biggest backer. Comcast, the biggest backer of BuzzFeed.
All right, back with Bill O'Reilly on so much more to cover coming up in just a moment. This is the Glenn Beck Program. More on Roger Stone and his arrest and what it means for Donald Trump, which I don't think anything right now, but it might mean something big for Steve Bannon. And I think he's going to be the next one. We'll explain why coming up in just a second. We're back with Mr. Bill O'Reilly. And Bill, you're a New Yorker. You're a Catholic. And I don't think you're a Cuomo supporter. But Cuomo has gone off the deep end with this new abortion law, and the left is lying about it, saying that it doesn't include any reason whatsoever up until birth, which it absolutely does.
Sure, it's infanticide, and
yes.
Anybody honest would know it. I've known the Cuomo family, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Decent relationship with Andrew Cuomo. So I'm going to tell you a story I've never told publicly, but now I can tell it because of the developments. So about 7 years ago, Cardinal Dolan came to me. He's the head of the New York Archdiocese, and said they got this pending bill about abortion on demand at any time in Albany. Can you talk to Governor Cuomo about it? Maybe it was 5 years ago. I was in Los Angeles, so I said, "Your Eminence, I'll do what I can, but I've got to keep it in a professional way. I've got to say to him, look, here's the situation, and this is why the cardinal is concerned, and I have to have your permission to do that. I can't do it as a private citizen, even though I'm against it. He doesn't care what I think." So anyway, I put in a call to the governor, and he did get back to me very promptly, and we had a very nice discussion for about 45 minutes about the bill. And at the end of the discussion, he said, well, let me think about it. I'm not going to do anything on it now, which he didn't. Now, his argument for the bill was not that he believed it. He didn't. He said he didn't believe in it, that he was a good Catholic and all of that. And but his job was not to impose his religion on anyone, and the liberals in New York wanted it. The usual. But he did table it for a while. Never pushed it. Never really got beyond. But once the Democrats got both chambers of the New York legislature, the far left came to him and said, you're going to do this or we're going to attack you. And, of course, Cuomo said, okay, well, I'm going to do it, and that's what happened.
All right, so we have...
My beef on it is Cardinal Dolan. And Cardinal Dolan should basically be out there in front of St. Patrick's Cathedral saying, look, this is infanticide. You have to have some standards on abortion. You just can't say I'm going to give birth in a week and I'm panicking because my boyfriend left or my husband left and I don't want the baby, so the baby's going to be terminated. That just can't happen in a civilized society, and I think all of your listeners would agree with that. But Dolan doesn't do that, and unless you bring moral power to these arguments, you're going to lose it, particularly in states like California and New York.
So, a story that I've never shared. Cuomo called my office about 5 years ago and wanted to meet with me privately. The word was that he just wanted to show that, we had a lot of things that we had in common. And I thought it was very weird, and I knew it was because he was wanting to run for president, and I never took the meeting. However, that gave me reason to believe that one of the reasons why he was doing this now was because maybe he wanted to run for president in 2020. But I since have had another thought, and this came to me yesterday, Bill. I read a story right after the election, when everybody was like, wow, how did Trump win? And one person said, which I thought was accurate, that Trump won because he could capitalize on the fear of the Supreme Court, and conservatives always respond to that. And in this article, it said, it was written by a lefty, and it said, that's something that the left doesn't do. The right responds to that, but the left doesn't. With Ruth Bader Ginsburg in very poor health, we all know that somehow or another, she's going to retire, or she will, pass away here in the next 5 years, and there will be a very important slot open on the Supreme Court. I think this has been passed in its most radical form to activate the most radical of the left, to signal to them that we're your people that will get it done, and also to get a court case coming up, bubbling up, so they can make this about Kavanaugh and who else, what other radical white man will drag you back into the cave to overturn this historic women's rights legislation. What are your thoughts?
I don't buy that because that bill was there for so long, and it just was politically expedient now for Cuomo to do it. He does want to run for president, by the way. Mm-hmm. Cuomo does want to be president.
Yes.
All right. But he's got headwinds in the form of Joe Biden. He can't beat Biden on the moderate track. Yesterday, Biden came out and said he likes Republicans in Michigan. That's the clear signal. Look, I'm not a loon like the rest of my party is. All right. So Cuomo knows he can't beat Biden. If Biden were to say, I'm not going to run a month from now, I think Cuomo may get in. Anyway, you have basically essentially a split in the Democratic Party between the Democrats who know that the Ocasio-Cortezes and these people are going to ruin the party, because Americans are not going to vote for socialism, never. Even though the press promotes these people all day long, and it looks like they're mainstream now, they're really not. They're really out there. Okay, and most Americans aren't going to buy into the government taking your stuff, which is what it comes down to. And the final thing about this thing is that, we live in a country that doesn't really, as I've said many times, I don't want to be boring about it, pursue the truth anymore. Mm-hmm. And abortion is the law of the land. It's not going to change. Roe v. Wade is not going to be overturned. But the states, the individual states have a right under the Constitution to regulate how a life-ending procedure is
executed,
put forth. The states have the absolute right to do that. And that's what the Democrats don't want. They want the federal government to have a blanket and say, you can have abortion for any reason at any time. And that's what Hillary Clinton did. That was a big mistake that she made. All right. And that's it.
All right.
So it's is that really the kind of society you want? Even the Western European nations, about as secular and liberal as you get, they don't have that. Is that what you want? Is this what we want here? That's how it has to be framed. It can't be framed as a women's rights thing. This is what they do all day long. And by the way, when I said in December, you may remember this, that Ginsburg, I don't believe that she's ever going to sit in the court again.
Yeah.
That's how ill she is.
Yes, I know.
You saw how I was attacked.
Yeah.
I was attacked. But Meghan McCain on The View. Oh, you're unchristian. Calling me unchristian for what? Reporting the truth?
Bill O'Reilly.
So it is a very, very intense issue and a very intense time in this country.
Let me ask one last question. This about the shutdown. If you listen to the press and if you read the polls, the president is really hurting badly from this shutdown. Now there's no State of the Union next week. I don't know why he gave on that. I don't know why he just didn't take up Ted Cruz's offer to come to the Senate or just go do something himself on that night. How's this looking for the president? How is he weathering this?
As soon as that happened, I was surprised. So I called my contacts who have very, very close to Donald Trump. Okay, so they say to me, we believe that in the long run, Nancy Pelosi refusing to allow the president to give this address is going to hurt the Democratic Party. That's the conclusion the White House has come to. Short run, Trump lost, no doubt about it. Long run, people are going to remember what a bad person Nancy Pelosi is. They couldn't do a venue outside the Capitol, excuse me, because the networks wouldn't cover it. Wouldn't get any coverage at all. And even after he gave the address, he gave a rally in Texas or Oklahoma, networks wouldn't cover a rally either. Okay, we'd got nothing. He could have done it, as I suggested, on the steps of the Capitol.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
As Abraham Lincoln, U.S. Grant did.
Yes.
Okay? And he could have said, a little cold out here. A little cold. I'd rather be inside because I should be inside. But we have a fascist House of Representatives leader, and so I'm here. But the State of the Union, and then he goes and gives a speech.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with you, and I mean I'm so close to. I'm amazed at how close, in some ways, Donald Trump is to the tactics just updated for today's world of Ronald Reagan. And in this, I could hear him saying, "Ms. Pelosi, build this wall." I mean, it is.
And I'm
it's
sure
crazy.
he'll use that line. Somewhere down. But the government shutdown, everybody wants it over. All right? Trump wants it over. Everybody wants it over. So I suspect in the next few days, they'll come to some kind of thing where the government will be opened up. That'll probably happen. But the war, and it is that, goes on. And, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, the casualties of this war are the American people. That's who's getting hurt by this unbelievable hatred that is being fostered by the press. I want to say again, I explain why the American media has fallen apart in a new column on BillO'Reilly.com. Just a quick headline, 1983, 50 corporations controlled 90% of the national press. 2019, 6 conglomerates. 6 control 90% of the press. And believe me, they're organized and they hate Trump. And one more thing, killing the SS, number 9 on the New York Times list after 4 months in the marketplace this coming Sunday.
What do we need to do to get it back up there, Bill? We need to get it up to 2 or 3. What do we need to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's just awareness. It's situational awareness. The book has got great word of mouth.
Yeah.
Glenn Beck, one of my big promotions is Glenn Beck actually read this book.
No, it's a great.
Go, what?
No,
It's got to be great.
He can read?
I've read some of your books, and most of your books, actually. And, with Patton, I have the toe tag, so I can prove that you're wrong on that one. But on this one, it's truly remarkable. It's a great read. It's one of those things you just won't put down. If you haven't read it, Killing the SS by Bill O'Reilly, it is available now, and I'd love to see it bump back up. Bill, thank you so much. God bless.
All right, guys. Talk next week.
Thanks, Bill.